Although if you look at the watt-hours per kilogram at the cathode level of iron, it looks like nickel's twice as good. But when you fully considered at the pack level, everything else taken into account, nickel is about maybe 50 or 60% better than iron. So iron is a little better than it would seem when you look at it at the pack level fully considered. It's not as good as nickel. Nickel is like 50 to 60% better, but it's actually pretty.
And now that we have this process, obviously we're going to go and start building our own cathode facility in North America and leveraging all of the North American resources that exist for nickel and lithium. Now that we have this process, just doing that, we're going to go and start building our own cathode facility in North America and leveraging all of the North American resources that exist for nickel and now that we have this process, just doing that, we're going to go and start building our own cathode facility in North America and leveraging all of the miles traveled by all the materials for nickel and now that we have this process, just doing that, we're going to go and start building our cathode facility in North America. And on that note, all of the miles the way the lithium ends up in the cell is through the cathode. And so then now that we have this process,
So lithium is not like oil. There's a massive amount of it pretty much everywhere. Um, so, in fact, there's enough lithium in the United States to convert
lithium
the
is
entire
not
United
like
States
oil.
fleet
There's
to a massive amount of it
Like
pretty
the-
much everywhere.
all the cars in the United States,
there's
so,
like 300 million or something like that.
in fact, there's enough
every vehicle in the United States
lithium
can be
in the United
converted
States
to
to
electric
lithium
using
is
the
not
United
like
States
oil.
available in the
There's
United States.
to
A maximum
Discovered
amount of it
today.
pretty much
Yeah, well,
everywhere.
we already know
All the
it's
cars in the
not.
United States
People really haven't even been
million
looking.
or something like
Yeah,
that.
people
In
haven't
fact,
been
there's
trying,
enough
'cause it's
every
like
vehicle
why
in the United
not
States
lithium
can
in
be
the United States to
lithium
using
is
our
very
own
nice.
like
It is important to say, like, okay, what is the smartest way to take the ore and extract the lithium and do so in an environmentally friendly way? And we actually discovered again, looking at a sort of first principles physics standpoint, instead of just the way it's always been done, is we found that we can actually use table salt, sodium chloride, to basically extract the lithium from the ore. This is nobody's done this before, to the best of my knowledge. Nobody's done this, and it's a sort of all the elements are reusable. It's a very sustainable way of obtaining lithium, and we actually we actually got rights to a lithium clay deposit in Nevada.
Over 10,000 acres.
Over 10,000 acres. And then the nature of the mining is actually, I think, also very environmentally sensitive in that we sort of take a chunk of dirt out of the ground, or remove the lithium, and then put the chunk of dirt back where it was. So it will look pretty much the same as before, and it will not look like terrible. And yeah, it'll be nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So
Simply mix clay with salt, put it in water, salt comes out with the lithium, done. I
yeah,
mean,
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So we're really excited about this, and there really is enough lithium in Nevada alone to electrify the entire U.S. fleet.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, just what's in Nevada. That's basically so much damn lithium on Earth. It's crazy. It's one of the most common elements on the planet.
And eventually, as we said at the beginning, when we get to this steady state 20 terawatt hours per year of production, we will transfer the entire non-renewable fleet of both power plants, home heating and battery and industry heating and vehicles to electric. And at that point, we have an awesome resource in those batteries to recycle to make new batteries. So we don't need to do any more mining at that point. And you can see why.
Yeah.
The difference in the value of the material coming back from the vehicle versus the ground, you'd always go to the vehicle. And we recycle 100% of our vehicle batteries today. And actually, we are starting our pilot full-scale recycling production at Gigafactory Reno next quarter to continue to develop this process as our recycling returns grow.
Yeah, I mean, to date it's been done by third parties, but we think we can recycle the batteries more effectively, especially since we know our batteries, we're making the same battery as the thing we're recycling. So whereas like third-party recyclers have to consider batteries of all kinds.
Yeah, and just to think about what this actually means, the recycling resource is always 10 or greater years delayed because batteries last a really long time. But eventually, it is the way that all resources will be made available, and that's why we're investing in this recycling facility in Nevada.
Yeah. Long-term, new batteries will come from old batteries once the fleet reaches steady state.
Right. Okay, so we just talked about scaling cathode and recycling. All of the benefits that you just saw are added to this benefit of a 12% reduction in dollars per kilowatt hour at the battery pack level. Almost at our halve the cost goal, but there's one more section. Take it away, Elon.
Great. So there's an architecture that we've been wanting to do at Tesla for a long time, and we finally figured it out. And I think it's the way that all electric cars in the future will ultimately be made. It's the right way to do things. So it starts with having a single piece casting, or a single piece casting for the front body and the rear body. And in order to do this, we commissioned the largest casting machine that has ever been made, and it's currently working just over the road at our Fremont plant. We have the it's pretty sweet. Currently making the entire rear section of the car as a single piece, high pressure die cast aluminum. And in order to do this, we actually had to develop our own alloy. because we wanted a high-strength casting alloy that did not require coatings or heat treatment. This is a big deal for castings, especially with a large casting. If you heat treat it afterwards, it tends to deform. It kind of like does this like potato chip thing. So it's very hard to keep a large casting to have its shape. So in order to achieve this, there was no alloy that existed that could do this. So we developed our own alloy, a special alloy of aluminum that has high strength without heat treat and is very castable. So that's a great achievement of our materials team. In fact, in general, we've got a lot of advanced materials coming for Tesla, that new alloys and materials that have never existed before. So, so you're basically making the front and rear of the car as a single, and that then interfaces to what we call the structural battery, where
From the early
battery
lows
for the first time
has
will
given
have dual use. The battery
pause,
will
I think,
both
to
have
some of the bears to
the
say
use
maybe
as
don't
an
get
energy
greedy, and the
device
bulls
and as
maybe have some
structure.
glimmers of hope that
This is
this
absolutely
correction
the way
is
things are
pretty
done.
far along.
In
So
the
if I look
early
at the
days
S&P
of
500, I will say,
aircraft,
put it into
they would carry
context.
the fuel
Today's
tanks
rally
as
in the
cargo.
S&P getting us up to
So the fuel
33.03.
tanks actually were quite difficult to carry. They were like basically worse than cargo. You had to kind of bolt them down. It was very difficult. And then somebody said, "Hey, what if we just make the wing tanks? What if we just make the fuel tank in wing shape?" So all modern airplanes, the fuel tank, your wing is just a fuel tank in wing shape. This is absolutely the way to do it. And then the fuel tank serves as dual structure, and it's no longer cargo. It's fundamental to the structure of the aircraft. This was a major breakthrough. Effectively, the non-cell portion of the battery has negative mass. So we save so much mass in the rest of the vehicle. We save more mass in the rest of the vehicle than the non-cell portion of the battery. So it's like, well, how do you really minimize the mass of a battery? Make it negative. Make the battery non-cell portion of the battery pack negative. It also allows us to pack the cells more densely because we do not have intermediate structure in the battery pack. So instead of having these like
is not even yet closing us back to where we finished on Friday, which is more like 33.19. So it's kind of an indecisive little rally, even though it's certainly taken some of the pressure off. Also, I've focused on that August 11th levels in the 33.30s. It's kind of in a little bit of a no man's land right here, still underneath a lot of the shorter term sort of trends people are looking for, but certainly better than the reverse. Kind of a narrow rally. I think we'll talk about that later. Take a look at the positioning in the large NASDAQ stocks. This has been a big talker lately, which is basically a pretty large and new speculative short position in NASDAQ 100 futures. So obviously, as you see here, speculators have been generally long futures. They've been betting on higher prices in the NASDAQ 100 for some time now. And this plunged as of last week to a sharply negative one. Now, this does have contrarian implications. In other words, it would be bullish for the NASDAQ, except look at over here how long it kind of stayed in negative territory. So there's no direct one-to-one automatic. Now it's going to flip to a bullish story up here, especially when you have to give back a lot of those gains. Similar story in flows into and out of
case of the battery to transfer shear from the upper and lower face sheet, which makes for an incredibly stiff structure.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Stiffer than a regular car.
Alright, we can start
In fact, if this was
today, I'm really sorry I'm unable to go to the lab
like
today.
a convertible that
that
had no upper structure, it would be stiffer than
And a
that
couple
convertible would
of
be
hours
stiffer than
ago,
a
I
regular
had
car.
sent a mail
So
asking if
this is
anybody is
just
joining
really
soon,
it's
offline
really
today,
major.
and I
So it
know
improves
for
the
the
mass
fact that
efficiency of the
Max
battery,
and
and then
Sebastian said
those
they'd be
castings are also
joining,
quite
but I
important
just wanted
because
to
you
do
want
it
to
right now,
transfer
and
load
sorry
into
to
the
take
structural
this long.
battery pack in a very smooth, continuous way, so you don't put arbitrary point loads into the battery. So you kind of have to, you want to sort of feather the load out from the front and rear into the structural battery. It also allows us
the NASDAQ 100
to move the cells closer to the center of the car, because we don't have the in the top one we've got that sort of all the supports and stuff. So the volumetric efficiency of the structural pack is much better than a non-structural pack, and we can actually bring the cells closer to the center, and because they're closer to the center, it reduces the probability of of a side impact potentially contacting the cells, because it has to go, any kind of side impact has to go further in order to reach the cells. It also improves what's called the polar moment of inertia, which is that you can think of like when there's ice skater, arms out or arms in. Arms in, you rotate faster. So if you can bring things closer to the center, you reduce the polar moment of inertia, and that means the car maneuvers better. It just feels better. You won't know why, but it just feels more agile. So it's really cool. This is really major. Like I said, so 10% mass reduction in the body of the car, 14% range increase, 370 fewer parts. So, I mean, I really think that long term, in any cars that do not take this architecture will not be competitive.
And it's not just at the product level a better product, but in the factory, it's a massive simplification. You saw the part removal. It's casting machines. It's the structural battery pack. So we're looking at over 50% reduction in investment per gigawatt hour, 35% reduction in floor space, and we'll continue to improve that as we make the vehicle factory of the future.
Yeah, so it's major improvements on all fronts, from the cell all the way to the vehicle.
And in addition to the improvements we just said on enabling additional range and improving the structural performance of the vehicle, it is worth another 7% dollar per kilowatt hour reduction at the battery pack level, bringing our total reductions now to 56% dollars per kilowatt hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so stacking it up, we're not just talking about cost or range. We've got to look at all the facets. So range increase, we're unlocking up to 54% increase in range for our vehicles and energy density for our energy products. 56% reduction in dollars per kilowatt hour at the battery pack level, and a 69% reduction in investment per gigawatt hour, which is the true enabler when we talk back about how do we achieve this scale problem here.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty nice that investment per gigawatt hour reduction is 69%. I mean, who would have thought?
Yeah, just happened to happen out that way. Yeah.
I mean, 0.420%, of course. So what this enables us to do is achieve a new trajectory in the reduction of cell cost. And now, to be clear, it will take us probably a year to 18 months to start realizing these advantages, and probably to fully realize the advantages, probably it's about 3 years or thereabouts. So, it's not like if we could do this instantly, we would. But it's really, I think what this bodes for, it just really bodes well for the future, and means that the long-term scaling of Tesla and the sustainable energy products that we make will be massively increased. So, what tends to happen as companies get bigger is things tend to slow down. Actually, they're going to speed up.
And they have to speed up if we're going to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy.
Yeah. I mean, long term, we want to try to replace about, at least 1% of the total vehicle fleet on Earth, which is about 2 billion vehicles. So long term, we want to try to make about 20 million vehicles a year.
But I think it's important to point out that when we talked about 3 terawatt hours by 2030, the problem is a 20 terawatt hour problem. So everybody needs to be accelerating their efforts to accomplish these objectives. Doesn't matter where you are in the value chain, there is a ton to do. You need to rethink from first principles how you do it so that you can scale to meet all of our objectives.
Yep.
And Elon?
Sure.
What does this mean?
What does this mean for our future products? We're confident that long term we can design and manufacture a compelling $25,000 electric vehicle. This has always been our dream from the beginning of the company. I even wrote a blog piece about it because our first car was an expensive sports car, and then it was like slightly less expensive sedan, and then finally sort of a I don't know, mass market premium, but like the Model 3 and Model Y. But it was always our goal to try to make an affordable electric car, and I think probably, like I said, about 3 years from now, we're confident we can make a very compelling $25,000 electric vehicle that's also fully autonomous.
And when you think about the $25,000 price point, you have to consider how much less expensive it is to own an electric vehicle.
Yeah.
So actually, it becomes even more affordable at that $25,000 price point.
Yeah. So we have and extreme performance and range, and we should probably talk about the Model S Plaid. Yeah. So, anyway, we took the latest Plaid out to Laguna Seca on Sunday. It got a minute 30, and we think probably there's another 3 seconds or more to take off that time. So we're confident the Model S Plaid will achieve the best track time of any production vehicle ever, of any kind, two-door or otherwise. And you can order it now, and it's available basically end of next year. So, and now we'll move to Q&A.
Absolutely.
So we'll invite a few people on stage.
Come on up, team.
So this is just a small portion of the team, but it would be great to show you some more of the team, and when we do Q&A, we can give various people different questions to answer.
Sounds great. Actually, I don't know how we're getting the questions.
Actually, I don't know either. Is somebody going to read them to him? Okay, well, you could just you can maybe get out of the car for 2 seconds and yell it at us. I don't know. Hey, how do we get any questions?
Oh, they're mics. Okay, wait for the mic.
Oh, there are mics. Okay, great. How do we get any questions?
All right.
Okay, we'll definitely
mics.
need
Okay,
to give
wait
people
for the mics.
There are otherwise, okay, no way. Great. How do we get any questions?
All right.
Sorry? Okay, we'll definitely... Okay. All right, we're going to pass some mics out. We don't have a name for the $25,000 car yet.
It's a great question, though.
Yes, we will be manufacturing cells in Berlin. Yep.
Thermal management system? For homes.
Oh, you mean like the home HVAC? Yeah, that's a pet project that I'd love to get going on. I don't know, maybe we'll start working on that next year. Because I just think you could really make a way better home HVAC system that's really quiet and super efficient and super energy efficient, and also has like a way better filter for particles, and and it works very reliably. And we've already developed that for the car. So the heat pump in the Model Y is really pretty spectacular. I mean, it's tiny, it's efficient, it has to last for 15 years. It's got to work in all kinds of conditions, from the coldest winter to the hottest summer. So we've actually already done a massive amount of the work necessary for a really kick-ass home HVAC. And they can also stack them. So if you want to say, depending upon the size of your house or whatever, how much you need, you can just basically stack them, and just have a very compelling, super efficient home HVAC. And then you can also
all right, so the top questions that I get asked,
it'll know when you're coming home.
She was about
$14,000.
Now, I paid $14,000 for a non-working brick of a Tesla in my driveway. So I started taking apart, and, well, look at my repairing that Tesla
cooling and heating.
$4,000 for a Tesla with no battery pack.
Yeah.
All right.
Who's
So
next?
now the motor. I'm still not sure to this day if that
Hey guys,
motor worked,
Eli here.
but I did
from
sell it
Tesla
to
Owners
a
Club,
guy
My
as
Tesla
flooded.
Adventure. Just a quick
Flooded
question. So I'm a
non-work
huge
400
fan of
Federal.
car camping in my Tesla with my dream case. Like my
Wooden
all-time
ship.
favorite
This is
activity.
fantastic.
Is it going to be
Me,
possible
I
to
have
get
my
climate
wife
control
driving
to
my
the
little
back of the
science
Cybertruck?
experiment.
Because that would be the ultimate camping
This is not
machine if
everything
we can get all
there.
that climate control.
I then sold the performance
We'll try
drive
to do
unit
that.
for $7,000.
Yeah, I agree. That would be really cool. Yeah.
All right, who's next?
Hello. Long-time fan, Elon, great guy. Just a question. How does the ICE industry look like for in the future?
Well, I don't think there will be an ICE industry long term. So, yeah. I mean, well, I guess there might be like a few things that are like it's a like curious thing. Like I mean, there's still like some steam engines made somewhere, but like they're just basically sort of quirky collector's items. I mean, that will be the future of the internal combustion engine car.
Hi, Elon. To your left here in the white Model Y, Ryan McCaffrey from the Ride the Lightning Tesla podcast. Curious about Cybertruck. It was interesting to see where you had it in on the battery technology front. I'm sort of curious what you see for it in the production front. Is its volume, trucks are so popular in America.
Hey guys, Car Guru here with an interesting one for you all today. Now, a subscriber recently reached out to me and said that he loved Tesla, loves the company, but he
sold in Texas as part of the Giga Texas deal.
Well, it's hard to say what the volume exactly would be for the Cybertruck. The orders are gigantic, so. And we have like, I don't know, well over 500,000 orders. I think maybe 600,000 or 600,000. That's a lot, basically. We stopped counting. So I think there's probably room for, I don't know, at least like a unit volume of like 250 to 300,000 a year, maybe more. Now we are designing the Cybertruck to meet the American spec, because if you try to design a car to meet the global, the superset of all global requirements, it basically, you can't make the Cybertruck. It's impossible. It really is designed for the American market, but this is the biggest market. Our North American market is the biggest market for pickup trucks by far, or large pickup trucks. And then I think we'll probably make an international version of the Cybertruck that'll be kind of smaller, kind of like a tight Wolverine package. It'll still be cooler, but it'll be smaller, because you just can't make a giant truck like that for most markets. So yeah, but it's gonna be great.
Deals, but it's 22 grand, so it's not a big deal. There's also some damage back here, right in front of the rear wheel. So that rear, so right here, if you could look on that quarter panel, there's some damage there, and there's some damage here on the quarter panel itself in the rear.
So, but weirdly, we can do leasing in Texas, but not selling. But hopefully that'll get cleared up in the future.
Yeah, Elon, great job with everything that you're doing. Thras Gerber from Gerber Kawasaki, your team's amazing. What I'm most curious about, these innovations are incredible, but on my drive up here, fully on autopilot for 400 miles, the entire state is brown, and this is ultimately about climate. Has there been some analysis done if all these things are achieved? What will its direct impact be on climate?
Well, I mean, I think it will have a very significant impact, because it will stop the CO2 ppm from growing as it is every year. And I mean, I should say, like, I try to view the whole kind of thing, as a science question as much as possible. Science.
Lately, one of the most exciting privately held companies in Silicon Valley has come under fire. I'm talking about Theranos. That's the diagnostics company with the ultra-fast finger prick blood testing technology that's aiming to upend the entire traditional healthcare establishment by making it easier, less expensive, and much less uncomfortable for you to get tested for a whole range of conditions. For the last few years, Theranos has been viewed as a revolutionary company. CEO has been heralded as next Steve Jobs. The company's been valued as much as $9 billion in its most recent round of fundraising. But Theranos also has its critics. And just this morning, the Wall Street Journal ran a pretty scathing article about the company, alleging that the company's proprietary testing devices may be inaccurate, and basically accusing Theranos of deceptive practices. The journal cites a former employee.
Journal would publish something like this,
which is,
but when we had the opportunity process, and so we've been consistent with it. And in fact, we even just recently took our nanotainers through the FDA clearance process.
So, but this is, you know, as we were just going
through the FDA,
it is a absolutely monumental task to accelerate the advent of sustainable energy. I mean, the entire global economy is still, you know, more than 99% dependent on, or roughly 99% dependent on fossil fuels. So although electric cars kind of get a lot of press right now, they're still, and there's still very few, as a percentage of the total global fleet, is practically nothing. I would say, yes, less than 1% of the global fleet is electric right now. Because of 2 billion cars and trucks and whatnot in use. So there's a massive amount of work ahead, just insane, like hard to comprehend how much work is ahead to get the new vehicle production to be sustainable, to massively increase the amount of stationary storage, which is critical because renewable energy is intermittent. Wind and solar is intermittent. Sometimes the wind doesn't blow, and obviously the sun doesn't shine at night. So you got to have batteries, a massive number of batteries. So
it's hard to measure in direct impact, but it's an experiment that we shouldn't be performing, and the sooner we can sort of end the experiment, the sooner we can kind of move on in a fully sustainable way that is actually lower cost. I mean, I think the thing that people haven't fully internalized is once we do get to the 25K car, the ownership cost of that car is incredibly lower than the prior car. And then on the solar side and wind, with the cost of solar and wind coming down and with batteries coming down with them, the actual cost of energy on the grid is going down. So we're sort of moving towards a sustainable, lower cost future. So there's not really a sacrifice.
Yeah, that's true. It is a false dichotomy to say that it's either prosperity or sustainability. This is often used, you know, by oil and gas to say like, oh, well, do you want people to lose their jobs? Do you want lower people's standards of living? Do you want to, you know, make all these economic sacrifices, really, in order to have sustainability? And the reality, as Drew was saying, is that sustainable energy is going to be lower cost, not higher cost, than fossil fuels.
Elon.